the only thing I can think of, Frank, is they intended to play Wayne Thomas at fullback tonight. This was their intentions before the game. So I just assumed Dan, there he is on his play pass. Wow.
Lockhart picks it off. Lockhart returning the interception to the 43-yard line.
Well, hello. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to check out this video. And welcome to the Gridiron. And before we get started, I just want to say thank you so much. Everyone out there has been watching my videos. I greatly appreciate it so much. If you can give this video a thumbs up or maybe leave a comment below or possibly share the video, it would mean so much to me. But anyway, just thank you so much for just taking time out of your day to check out this video. Thank you. Well, it was nothing really super duper spectacular. I mean, it was 20. Daniel Jones was 22 out of 32 for 249 yards. He had 9 rushes for 95 yards. Okay, he had 1 rushing touchdown, right? So nothing super duper spectacular, but Daniel Jones of the New York Giants was rated the PFF, right? So, whatever you think of PFF. Some people despise them, some people like them, whatever, but PFF has Daniel Jones as the Offensive Player of the Week. Wow, for week number 2. He earned his first grade, PFF grade, okay, of over 90. He was a 91.3. Whew. Pretty darn gone special, huh? Now, he was 22 out of 32, only 249 yards. This is nothing spectacular. But, he managed to get a 91.3, but one of the biggest, he was under pressure 44.7% of the times. Almost half the time he dropped back to pass, he was under pressure. I mean, could you just imagine, one of these years, we actually get some offensive linemen in front of them that can block and, have them just kind of stand back there, like some of these other quarterbacks get to do. I get it's football and all that, but man, wouldn't it be just so nice just to have an offensive line that could start gelling together? And 44% of the time he was under pressure. Whew, that's horrible. I understand it's Washington football team and all, but my God, that's horrible. Absolutely horrible. But above all of that, he had no fumbles. He had no interceptions, right? He had a heck of a day. Heck of a day. Now, on the season, he's only completing 63.8% of his passes, okay, which is, not too bad, not too great. Don't get me crazy there, but, not too horrible, considering, the offensive line he's working with, all right? He only has 516 yards passing, nothing spectacular. Average 7.5 yards per attempt, which is very average, okay? He has 2 passing touchdowns, which is, certainly after 2 games is, Tom Brady's got 9, okay? But he does have 2 rushing touchdowns, all right? He has 122 yards rushing in 2 games. He has no interceptions, and he only has 1 fumble, okay? But the 1 fumble was a big one. We took some points off the board against Denver. He obviously easily could have had another rushing touchdown in this game, okay, if it wasn't for that bullshit holding call on C.J. Board. Even Buck and Aikman are kind of like, saying how ticky-tack that is of a call. It seemed like you had him in the whole time. It's an absolute bullshit call. They took not only they took the touchdown off the board, Daniel Jones in the ball in, but it took 4 points off because we only managed to get a field goal. Give us those 4 points, the Giants win the football game. The Giants got screwed royally in this game. Absolutely royally. So he could easily have had 2 rushing touchdowns in this game, okay? Then he could have had 2 passing touchdowns if Darius Slayton didn't drop that one in the end zone. The ball was, I think he thought the ball was going to be like here, and you could just see it was kind of like over here more, so he kind of didn't have his hands in the right, and maybe it was just a tad, but I mean, dude, did you ever heard of diving for a ball? I mean, you're getting paid, right? When the ball hits your hand, you bring it in. Whatever you got to do. You catch it on the run, you dive, whatever you got to do, you pull it in. I mean, he easily could have had 2 more touchdowns in this game. All right, then there was, and Kenny Golladay had a drop pass. It was in halfway through the third quarter. All right, the Giants were on about their own 35. Daniel Jones went back to pass, and he hit Kenny Golladay around the 35-yard line. So he threw it about 30 yards. It was like a 35-yard pass play. And Kenny Golladay was streaking down the sideline, and he had his one hand on it. And, I couldn't have done it, but I'm sure Kenny Golladay could have, got and pulled it in. The thing was that he was being, Kendall Fuller was covering him. He was armbarring him, so he couldn't get his other arm up to, it's I don't know. It's kind of funny that, like, the ref is standing there and he's only got one trying to catch the, with one arm. I wonder why he doesn't have 2 hands out. I mean, because he was getting armbarred. The thing is that Kenny Golladay was here. Okay, the defender was like right next to him, and like almost right behind him was the ref, so he couldn't see him getting armbarred. So he couldn't. So Kendall Fuller was holding his arm down, so he couldn't get his other hand up. If the ref was in a different position or whatever, possibly he could have seen that and maybe he would have thrown a flag, But I mean, seemed like everything was going against the Giants Thursday night, So, but that was possibly another long completion that Daniel Jones could have possibly had in that game. Now this week he had 3 runs of over 10 yards. All right, he was tied. There was 3 quarterbacks this week that had 3 runs of over 10 yards. Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, and Daniel Jones. Right, all had 3 runs for quarterbacks of over 10 yards. All right, then he led all quarterbacks in week 2. Okay, in total completions on passes thrown 10 or more yards down the field with 11. 11 of his completions were 10 or more yards down the field. Now, as I just said, I mean, if Slayton caught the one in the end zone, which he should have, that would have been 12. If Kenny Golladay could have pulled that one in, because, dropped it right down there. He had it right here. If he just pulls it in, or if he wasn't getting arm barred, he had 2 hands out there, right? So Daniel Jones could have had 13 completions of over 10 yards, which would have well led all the quarterbacks. And then he could have had two more. But just imagine, like, if what he could do if he actually had some protection. If he was actually, and I say, I know we're going against Washington football team, but some of the, Billy Price, his pass blocking grade was an 8. Could we get any worse? Oh my God. Absolutely horrible. Absolutely horrible. But I say, just imagine Daniel Jones. So we start talking about how bad Daniel Jones is and all this and everything, just imagine if he would get some protection. Let's not forget. He ran the ball 9 times for 95 yards. And the one where he ran for the touchdown and it got called back as a C.J. Board's bullshit holding call, he was running past people. People couldn't catch up to him. He was running right past them. Running past them, and they were running after him. Landon Collins couldn't catch up to him. Landon Collins wasn't even gaining ground on him. Once he ran past him, Landon Collins turned around and ran. He wasn't gaining ground on him. It was just simply amazing. Dude's a heck of a good athlete. Now Daniel Jones, all right, if he completion percentage so far this year, small sample size, 63.8%. He only has 516 yards passing. Okay? Small sample size, I get. He only has 2 touchdown passes. Right? Okay. which we're kind of going back to like last year. He played, he only had 11 touchdown passes, so we're kind of on that, pace. He has 2 touchdowns rushing, all right? But he has no interceptions, and he only has 1 fumble, okay, in 2 games. So in 2 games, he has 1 turnover. So over just say 16-game schedule, right? That would be 8 turnovers he'd have. Now we're talking, okay. Let's look at some of the other quarterbacks in the league. And I said, I understand. I'm not saying Daniel Jones is better than any of these guys. And I know it's only 2 games. It's a small sample size. I get it. But look at all the things that Daniel Jones has going against him, okay? Right? He's got a lot, all right? Let's look at some of the other quarterbacks just after 2 games, okay? Aaron Rodgers, all right? Daniel Jones has 516 yards passing. Aaron Rodgers only has 388 yards passing after 2 games. Aaron Rodgers, who never throws an interception, has 2 already. Daniel Jones has none. Lamar Jackson only has 474 yards passing. Daniel Jones has 516. Lamar Jackson has 2 interceptions and 3 fumbles. He's got 5. Daniel Jones got 1. Okay, 5 turnovers. He's got 1. All right, huge. Justin Herbert. All right, don't get me wrong. I'd love to have this guy. Oh man, I'd love to have this guy. But Justin Herbert has thrown 2 touchdown passes so far. He's thrown 3 interceptions and he has 1 fumble. All right, Kyler Murray, who got picked in front of Daniel Jones. He has 3 interceptions so far. Daniel Jones doesn't have any. Dak Prescott, all right, has 3 touchdown passes, which is very good, all right. He has 2 interceptions, and he has 2 fumbles as well, all right. Tom Brady, all right, the GOAT. I'm not saying Daniel Jones is Tom Brady, or he's going to be as good as Tom Brady, but so far Tom Brady in 2 games has 2 interceptions, and he hardly throws any, and he has 1 fumble, all right. Derek Carr has 1 interception. He has 3 fumbles in 2 games. Josh Allen, all right, the stud, the man, all right, the man with a cannon for arms. So far after 2 games, he's completing 56% of his passes. Not good. He only has 449 yards passing. Daniel Jones has 516. All right, Josh Allen's averaging 5.3 yards per pass attempt. 5.3. Daniel Jones is averaging 7.5. Okay. Josh Allen so far has 1 interception and 2 fumbles. Okay. He's, so far not so good. Right. Ryan Tannehill, he has 1 interception. He has 3 fumbles. Matt Ryan, Matty Ice, he only has 464 yards passing. Daniel Jones has 516. Matt Ryan has 3 interceptions and 1 fumble. All right. Ben Roethlisberger only has 483 yards passing. He has 1 interception and he has 2 fumbles. Joe Burrow, all right, he's got 3 interceptions in 2 games. Jared Goff, okay, he's got 2 interceptions and 2 fumbles. He's got 4 in 2 games. All right, Zach Wilson, all right, there you go, huh? The savior for the Jets, right? He's got 5 interceptions. I know he's just a rookie, but he's got 5 interceptions. He's got 1 fumble, and he's only completing 55.7% of his passes. Not looking so good so far. All right. Then you got Trevor Lawrence, pick number 1, the second coming of the GOAT. Right? Everybody was tanking it for Lawrence this year, right? He's only completing 50% of his passes. He's averaging 5.4 yards per pass attempt. That's pathetic. That's horrible. And he's got 5 interceptions so far in 2 games. Whew. I mean, multiply that out, okay, over a 16 game schedule. That's 40 interceptions in a year, okay? Whew. That's pretty bad. Now, give Daniel Jones an offensive line, okay? Just imagine possibly what he might do, all right? But also, now, it's the offensive line, but also slash the defense, right? The defense is letting the other team just walk up and down the field. Imagine if our defense could actually stop somebody once in a while. It's a theory of relativity. It's all relative, right? The less time defense is on the field, more time the offense is on the field. Right? If you're trying to score points and get stats and all this stuff, you can't do it if you're sitting on the sideline drinking Kool-Aid while your defense is letting the other team walk up and down the field constantly the whole game. That's what they did against Washington. That's what they did against. Well, early on, Washington, a little struggling, but once Washington started rolling, boy, it was just up and down the field all game long. Denver scored one up and down. I think Denver scored 4 out of 5 times against the Giants. At one point, they just kept walking up and down the field. Giants couldn't stop them. Couldn't stop them on 3rd down. Couldn't stop them on 4th down. Giants haven't stopped anybody on 4th down yet this year. Imagine if we actually had a defense, huh? Imagine if the defense actually started performing what Daniel Jones might be able to do. Because it also works hand in hand. I mean, the more our offense is on the field, the more the other team's defense is on the field. The more the other team's defense is on the field, the tired they get. Especially running the ball. You run the ball. Maybe in the first quarter, you're running the ball, you get 1 yard per carry, right? Second quarter, you're running the ball, you're only getting 2 yards per carry. But you keep running the ball. Then when the other team gets the ball, our defense stops and we get the ball back. Their defense is back on the field again. Now they're getting tired. Third quarter, right? They're giving up 3-4 yards per carry because we're handing the ball. They're starting to get tired. They're starting to lag. Starting to get really tired, worn out. By the time the fourth quarter comes around, they're giving up 4, 5, 6, 7 yards a carry. Sometimes a hole might open up. Saquon takes it to the house. It's all theory of all relative. Imagine if our defense actually performed like they were supposed to. Now, the one thing is that, so far Daniel Jones is doing good, okay? So, small sample size, I get it. But, you can start maybe looking toward the future for next year in the first round with the 2 first-round picks we got, the second, the 2 thirds we got. Some of those picks, okay, we may not have to use them on a quarterback, which would be great because that'll help build the team up. But the problem is that when it comes time for Daniel Jones' new contract, he's going to go from, what he's making. I forgot. Please forgive me. I forgot exactly what he's making. But if he's going to go from what he's making now up to like 30, 35 million a year, whoo, boy, that's going to hurt. Well, as always, guys, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to check out this video. You guys stay safe out there and go Giants. Woo!